A Fox News panel discussing Donald Trump's wildly controversial cabinet nominees got a little spicy when former Republican congressman and current Fox News host Trey Gowdy condemned Trump's selection of Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General, and he left his co-panelist, MAGA loyalist Mollie Hemmingway, visibly frustrated. And it was fun, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, I don't have many good things to say about Trey Gowdy. He led some of the witch hunts against Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, which helped undermine her political career. But I will say, as far as Republicans are concerned, he is not the least principled, and he has been the subject of multiple videos on this channel in that vein. He is one of the few former Republican congressmen who support Donald Trump, but will attack Donald Trump and criticize Donald Trump when he thinks it's needed. I think he's too generous with most of Donald Trump's wildly unqualified cabinet nominees. But when it comes to Matt Gaetz, Trey Gowdy does take a principled stand, and it seems to piss off Mollie Hemmingway, a deluded MAGA loyalist. And so we're going to play these clips and unpack them together.
Yeah, the overwhelming majority of his picks will sail through because they were Grand Slam picks. But to Mollie's point, you don't root out corruption at the Department of Justice by picking a corrupt person to lead it. So Matt Gaetz, either the report comes out and he's not going to be the Attorney General, or the report doesn't come out and he's not going to be the Attorney General. I mean, the problem, Brett, is all the good picks, John Lee Ratcliffe, Elise Stefanik, Lee Zeldin, Mike Waltz, all the good picks, nobody's talking about those right now. They're talking about this wild card pick of someone who had to get out of the House to avoid being sanctioned by the House Ethics Committee. That dumbfounding pick is just sucking the oxygen out of all the good ones he made.
You are referring to the situation with the report in the House Ethics Committee. Johnson.
So, as a reminder, since Brett Baer there brought it up, that House Ethics investigation has been ongoing for 3 years. And Matt Gaetz has been credibly accused of sexual misconduct and other misdeeds. And the bipartisan Republican-led House Ethics Committee apparently thought that the claims were so meritorious that they, again, investigated for 3 years. The Justice Department declined to charge. Now, people like Mollie Hemmingway will be like, well, that should be the end of it. Two things I want to point out, and we're going to try to reaffirm these points in videos that we make on the subject. Number one, the Justice Department didn't clear him. The Justice Department simply refused to bring charges, and that could be because they didn't think that they could make the case beyond all reasonable doubt in court. Not that there wasn't compelling evidence, but the highest possible standard exists for these things, beyond all reasonable doubt. So that could explain the Justice Department's decision, not that there was no evidence. Second thing is, Mollie Hemmingway and other people like her, they think President Biden's Justice Department is weaponized against Republicans and is corrupt. If that were true, why the hell wouldn't they pursue charges against Matt Gaetz, who is a gadfly and an annoying, vocally annoying MAGA Republican disruptor in the House of Representatives? Could it be that the Biden Justice Department, which prosecuted Hunter Biden, President Biden's only living son, investigated President Biden himself, investigated multiple and prosecuted multiple elected Democrats, is it possible that that Justice Department actually isn't corrupt and is not weaponized? And that's why, and Mollie Hemmingway knows that, and that's why she's touting, and what so many people do, the fact that the DOJ didn't bring charges as proof of Gaetz' innocence. Food for thought. Make sure you hit them with that anytime they run their mouths about Matt Gaetz or a weaponized DOJ. Make sure you point it out. Like, interesting that now you have a lot of respect for what the DOJ under President Biden thinks convenient. Got another clip for you in this Fox panel.
Well, we'll see. I think, like I said at the beginning, a lot of these senators want to get most of these through, if not all, that they can. Trey, I'll give you last word on this about Mollie's point about the DOJ not going forward, the FBI not going forward with charges against Gaetz.
Well, Yeah, with all due respect to Mollie, I was there for it. If you want to give credit to somebody, give it to Kash Patel, Jim Jordan, John Ratcliffe, James Comer. Don't give it to the guy that was out putting on makeup while other people were doing the investigation. He just picked Jay Clayton. He just picked Todd Blanche, both of whom would be fantastic. They would do exactly what you wanted done. You don't have to pick between character and competency. You can actually have both in a nominee, but Gaetz doesn't have both.
One more clip. Again, this is why I'm saying take what Trey Gowdy says here with a grain of salt, because he is being entirely too effusively praiseworthy or praising of Trump's other cabinet nominees. Kash Patel, we just did a video about that guy. Kash Patel, in many ways, more deranged than Matt Gaetz. Now, as far as we know, he's not been credibly accused of sexual misconduct or having sex with a minor. But Kash Patel, in some ways, is as unhinged, at least, as Matt Gaetz. He has publicly said on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast that he wants to prosecute people who criticize Donald Trump, who voted against Donald Trump, who participated in the rigging of the 2020 election, an election which famously was not rigged, no matter how much Donald Trump wants you to believe otherwise. And yet, even Trey Gowdy is like, Matt Gaetz, you don't have to choose between character and competence. You might actually want an attorney general who is both extremely competent and is of high character. Got another clip.
All right, let me ask this. Back to our cabinet casino. If you have $100 in chips, this isn't audible, what percentage of those chips are you putting down that at least one of these cabinet nominees does not make it through? Trey.
Can I get more than 100? Everything I have. I talk to senators all the time. One of them is not going to get through.
Because you're confident that the head count is not there.
The head count is not even 50-50 on one of them. One of them can't even get half the Republican senators. But I'll let you guess from our earlier discussion who that might be.
I sense where that's going with you. Okay, Mollie.
So I hope Trey Gowdy is right. I hope Trey Gowdy is right, and that Matt Gaetz is so despicable that he will motivate even this batch of servile, obsequious Republican senators to find their spine and their principle and tell Donald Trump no to his face. No, pick somebody else. I'm just a cynic by heart. I've been hurt before. Republicans have hurt me before. We've been in an abusive relationship where they've abused me. They've just taken, they've hurt me too many times for me to trust that they will have the integrity with Donald Trump again, who is empowered more than any president has ever been empowered. And the Republicans are more cultish than any party has ever been cultish. That Matt Gaetz will finally be the thing that breaks the spell. It's possible. There are reports of it. To Trey Gowdy's point, I mean, there has been, we discussed it in a previous video, there are reports of not just a handful of skeptics, I'm not going to say dissenters, skeptics like Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, who've expressed concern about Matt Gaetz. But we've also seen people like Lindsey Graham and Mark Wayne Mullen, who previously criticized Matt Gaetz, do a 180 and be like, I trust Donald Trump's judgment, whatever you want, Mr. President. And we also have the presence of people like Elon Musk, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Charlie Kirk, and others publicly threatening Republican senators who dissent from any of Trump's cabinet nominees. So I wouldn't bet on Republicans finding a spine and finding their principles to do the right thing here, because they are just so predisposed to doing the exact opposite. But I like that Trey Gowdy's confident. That makes me feel just a little bit better. Maybe Trey Gowdy is obviously much better connected than I am, really believes that these Republicans will have finally found the line that they're unwilling to cross. But I don't know. Again, you can see in that first clip, Mollie Hemmingway is clearly not happy with the attacks on Matt Gaetz, but that's because she is as devoutly loyal to Trump as it gets. I mean, she's smarter than somebody like Laura Loomer, but the devotion is basically on par with somebody like that. So she wants Trump to get everything, and for the Senate to be a rubber stamp. We'll see what happens, but I'm not confident, and I don't see any real reason for any of us to be confident If we happen to be right, we're just morally lucky. It's not because that the Republicans have a longstanding tradition of standing up to Trump. It will be because we have finally, just by divine providence, total miracle, found the one line that the GOP can't cross. But they typically find reasons to cross those uncrossable lines anyway. So, food for thought. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.